First of all, like Ashira, thank you so much for including me in this panel. My name is Baha Hilo. Actually, my family were expelled from the village of Malha. So, like, Hilo and Malha are like two very confusing things. I was born back in 1980. As a kid, I survived through the first intifada with normalizing brutality of Israeli criminal behavior all the time, like thinking that it's about my behavior. Like if I behave better, like I'll be treated better. But I guess like survivors naturally develop this kind of mentality because of whatever criminal behavior they are forced to survive. I grew up very confused because I was born to a Muslim family. I grew up in a Catholic school, and the soldier standing between my family's house and my school identifies as a Jewish person. So I really like grew up with different forms of rejecting Abrahamic faiths in a way. I went to Birzeit University. I had a degree in sociology and political science in the midst of the second intifada. So I survived the first intifada confused, so-called peace process, seeing like our idols shaking hands with our war criminals. See that kind of confusion that you have because like the victims of Israeli criminal behavior now accept to coexist with the criminal behavior of the state. All that kind of confusion went on. Then you have the second intifada, survived through that. And at some point, I was like given a chance to go and look at our life from a distance. I spent a year volunteering in a country called Sri Lanka that is ripped apart with civil war. But then that civil war felt comfortable. And it doesn't have to say anything about where I was living. It just like that comfort explains so much of the different layers of surviving oppression day in, day out, and all the time, like being on your toes in Palestine. My process of understanding Palestine actually started there. Like when you zoom out your place and then look at home from a distance, you get like a better understanding. So the first thing I realized as survivor of Israeli criminal behavior is that I don't understand, and that's not my fault. So I started a process of learning more about my reality. I have been like an activist for, I would say, actively since 2005. I have been working on the planting of olive trees. Let's say I'm obsessed with olive trees, knowing like how rooted it is and how it's kind of like help us understand like our ongoing reality. Like there's nothing we can touch from the past like 10,000 years in Palestine. But like imagine in our indigenous culture, olive trees are living beings. So it's a witness in a way. So the oldest olive tree we have in Palestine is actually planted near the house of Uncle Ahmed Barghouth, who's featured in the film. It's about 4,500 years of a human history, and sometimes you wish that tree would speak. It has a lot of reflections of our indigenous culture. It has a lot of understanding of our methods of survival that people have adopted over the past like 4,000 plus years. Being able to see our reality within its time context, being able to understand our culture within that. A day in, day out, I did not spend like a moment in my life, but trying to learn more and more and more about our reality. Since 2013, I started working on an initiative called To Be There. And it's a very short answer to a very simple question like, how can we understand what's happening in Palestine? You have to be there. You have to be in Palestine physically, spiritually, and like emotionally. Like you have to be. So, what we try to do is like help people understand the reality the way it is based on the context that we are forced to survive through. Because I totally believe that if you understand what the problem is, you will be able to understand the solution. If it's a reality of oppression, then the solution is end of oppression. If it's reality of apartheid, then the solution is end of apartheid. If the problem is Israeli criminal behavior, then the solution is end of Israeli criminal behavior. So I've been working on education for both outsiders and visitors, but also for us as Palestinians, because there is so much we miss on understanding our reality because we're busy surviving and surviving and surviving. And you understand, like, a person who's like busy surviving doesn't have the mindset of trying to understand what they are surviving through. We have a lot of idols in the world who I try to follow their footsteps and understand that the most inspiring people on the planet are people who survived oppression and then had the ability to explain what they survived to people from outside. So I've been working mainly on education and helping people understand the reality while being forced to survive this kind of like brutal, unjust, fascist kind of reality that always expresses itself in the murder and elimination of the Palestinian society.